Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. It's Sunday morning, which means there's normally a different influx of Manchester United transfer news. And we've got a big story to start off with though. It's not coming from a news outlet. It's actually coming from the Player via Manchester Evening News via Brazilian outlet, where Richarlison, the Everton striker, has said that Manchester United and Barcelona bid for him during this season, but he decided to stay at Everton despite those offers being quite attractive. And that's quite interesting because, look, we see stories in the paper and we go, well, that's probably a load of nonsense. But when it comes direct from a player, it could still be a load of nonsense. But what I would say is that, I mean, look, what I think about it, first of all, what do I think about the player Richarlison? Obviously, plays for Everton at the moment. He'll be playing for Everton tonight against Liverpool, of course, and hopefully he'll get a hat-trick. But to be honest, a lot of you have said it before. I would like Manchester United to be in for this type of player. He can play anywhere across the front three. He's only 23, and I think his record at Everton is something like 20 goals in 60 games or something like that. So he's a goal every 3 games in a team like Everton, which has been struggling recently, isn't too bad. He's quick, he's skillful, he's got creativity, he can score off both feet. I would welcome a player like this at the club. I mean, look, I really wanted Timo Werner. I wonder what you'd have to pay for Richarlison. I mean, £35 million he went from Watford to Everton. I would think Everton would want double that. And I don't think United... Well, look, I've answered the question for you there. I would love Manchester United to sign Richarlison. I would. I think he would give us something that would fit in with Rashford, Martial and Greenwood perfectly. I think we need a striker, a little bit like Werner, who ultimately is a striker but can play in 3 positions and can move about. As we saw on the game on Friday night, there was some interchangeability between Greenwood and Rashford and Martial and Dan James at times when he was on, and Ighalo when he came on. You've got to be able to move around the front 3, which I don't think, if you bought a Harry Kane or a Raul Jimenez, I think they're very static number 9. So he does fit in with what United need, but what United have refused to get by not signing Timo Werner. And that brings to what I think about the story. I think it's very interesting that Richarlison has said that there was interest there from United and from Barcelona and potentially bids, who knows. But this would have been around January time. This would not be now. However, we were very highly linked to a striker in March. Maybe it was him, I don't know. But I don't think we're looking at that now because we didn't go for Timo Werner for £49 million and Richarlison's going to cost £60 to £70 million and he's not as good as Werner. So if United were after a striker, I feel they would have gone for Werner, which they didn't because we're sticking with Ighalo. So I don't think there's anything in it, which to be fair is what the Manchester Evening News say, that Richarlison was shortlisted but nothing more than that. But it's very interesting that the players come out and mentioned us. I don't see what his motivation would be to mention Manchester United unless there was some genuine contact there. And let's be honest, we know that Manchester United more than likely spoke to Pochettino in January. So United probably speak to quite a lot of people and players, but it doesn't happen. It would be a joke, says Mike Thomas, to pay 50 million plus for Richarlison instead of buying Werner. I can't disagree with that. And Hissian Turkley welcomes the latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Sean Turner says they rejected an 80 million bid from Barca. Be higher if we want him. We need someone more prolific than Richarlison, in my opinion. Yeah, but I think that it's very hard to tell how prolific he's going to be in an Everton side when at United and Liverpool he's going to get a lot more goals, isn't he? Lots and lots to talk about this morning. I just want to say as well, Richarlison just runs around up front. He's not good technically. He's just a 70 million Jesse Lingard, says the big opinions. I've seen him play. In fact, I will be watching him play tonight. And also, more importantly, I'll be watching Villa against Chelsea this afternoon. We have started doing watch-alongs away from this channel, non-United games. So if you want to watch, I mean, I did the Arsenal game yesterday. That was brilliant. I did the Watford-Leicester game. That was brilliant. I'm doing Chelsea-Villa today. And obviously Everton-Leicester is the early evening kickoff. Links in the video description for That's Football. Just click it and subscribe. Get your notifications on. And when I go live, you can join in what is basically the United Stand watch-along atmosphere, but without United games. So obviously always United games are going to be on here, but That's Football is where we're watching other games at the moment. So make sure you join. We had a great day yesterday with some cracking goals and moments. And that brings me on to something I want to talk about before we talk any more news. I put a tweet out this morning saying that I feel, as I said last night, I feel that we're better off united and not divided. And I don't understand why some fans are jumping on this bandwagon of hate towards David De Gea. And I do call it hate because it's disruptive to what we're trying to achieve as a club. And then I see people doing it about Martial. And I said it this morning and I said it last night. Martial maybe should have scored that chance that Bruno played a brilliant assist to him. But don't tell me that Rashford's chances weren't easier. Rashford had 2 chances. One, he missed the header, which was free from about 6 yards out. And the other one, he's unmarked. And it's a good save from Lloris, but it shouldn't be savable. Yet people want to go in Martial, and I've heard things like, well, Marcus has been out for 6 months. Marcus has done a lot of charity work. I mean, this has got nothing to do with anything on the pitch. Marcus Rashford deserves to be Sir Marcus Rashford for what he's done off the pitch. But we're talking about football here. It's a bit like sympathy votes for people who are not having a great time off the pitch. You know, we're talking about Manchester United, entertainment business, football. We're a football club. Why are we going in on individuals? Rashford should have scored. Maybe Martial should have scored. Maguire made a big mistake, but Lindelof should have covered him. De Gea should have saved it. Maybe Luke Shaw shouldn't have headed it forward. Fred and McTominay didn't play well. As a team, as a collective, we didn't play well on Friday. I don't get... And look, you know me. In the past, Fellaini and others I've gone in on, and I've been proven right because consistently they haven't done enough for me. And I don't think they're Manchester United players. I think De Gea and Rashford and Martial and all the players I've just mentioned there are Manchester United players. And I don't think now is the time to be divided and to be bitching on our players. Why are you doing it? And people will say, oh, you're such a hypocrite, Mark. I tell you what, if we lose to Sheffield United on Wednesday, and we deserve to lose, I'll be there the morning afterwards saying, look, they've blown it. They've blown their chance to get into top 4. And I'll be analysing it and saying who's blown it. But if you think I'm going to go in on individual players after a game where we drew that we should have won, and yes, there was a couple of mistakes, but we're still very much in the race for top 4, and we still very much need to be united, I'm going to defend the club, I'm going to defend the players, and I'm going to stick behind it, because I don't think now is the time to start going, get De Gea out, Martial's crap, Ollie's rubbish, Luke Shaw's overweight, Maguire's a donkey and he's overrated. You know, I don't see now is the time. And look, the great thing about the United stand is there'll be people in the live comments saying, I disagree. Well done. That's your opinion. But I'm not going down that road personally because I don't think now's the time. We can definitely take the positives. There's more positives from that Spurs game than there are negatives. And the negatives, the people who made the mistakes will be motivated to improve, whilst the people who looked good will keep improving. We've got an opportunity here. Look at what's going on with other clubs. We've got an opportunity here, but we've got to fight together. We've got to be united. And I almost feel that because of the last 6-7 years, and look, I've been a part of it, I felt it, but I don't feel it now. I almost feel that we've almost want to fail. We almost want Ollie to fail. We want De Gea to make another mistake. There's this "I told you so" mentality. But if you're in the "I told you so" mentality, you're not a United fan. If you want Martial to miss another chance, you can go, "I told you he was shit." Oh, if you want De Gea to make another mistake, so you can say, "I told you he was crap." Or you want Maguire to make another mistake, so you can say, "I told you he was overrated." Who are you? Like seriously, who are you? I think there's a little bit of reflection here. If you're a Manchester United fan, do you not want Manchester United to be successful? Now, if you want to sit there and say, we won't be successful, but I want us to be successful, well, you know, at least there's part of an argument there. But I totally disagree. I think now is the time to give these players the benefit of the doubt. Somebody said to me on Twitter today, well, Marcus Rashford's been out for 6 months with a bad back, so you can excuse him missing 2 sitters, but Martial, he should be scoring that. And I was like, hold on a minute. If you're fit, you're fit. Marcus Rashford's not running around with a white stick saying, oh, I'm blind, or oh, I've got a bad back. You know, he's fit. He's match fit. And Anthony Martial's not paid for 3 months. So there's not differing levels of fitness. You're either fit to play 90 minutes like Rashford was, and rusty like Rashford was, and like Martial was, or you're not. You can't differentiate between missed chances. Like, Martial maybe should have scored one of those chances. So should Rashford. They're both as culpable, but I don't care because they both missed, and I said that players are going to be rusty. So I don't see. I'm not Team Martial. I'm not Team Rashford. I'm Team Manchester United, and I think that these agendas are coming back way too fast because they've carried on. And look, I said it during lockdown. Lockdown changed something in me. It did. I saw a lot of suffering. I saw a lot of people struggling with mental health, and I saw a positivity in football and Manchester United that maybe my eyes were a bit shut to. That this great sport and this great football club is what binds us every week, is what gives us a motivation and a passion every week. And it went for 3 months, and it made me appreciate it even more. And it's made me more passionate, even if that was possible. And it's made me more hungry for this club to succeed. And it's made me more determined to hope and get behind that club to succeed. And if they destroy that hope because they lose to Sheffield United and blow top 4, then they will reap the whirlwind. But at the moment, I feel that people are jumping on the bandwagon of negativity and agenda too much. Zane's here from Arsenal. He says, we've been very unlucky. Özilman of Everton nearly bought us and Guardiola nearly joined us before. I don't think we want to talk about Arsenal, Zane. I think AFTV is probably your channel. You've not been unlucky. You're a badly run club with crap players. We all moan when Souness slating Pogba, but it's all okay for us to go in possibly the best goalkeeper we've had at our club. Everyone makes mistakes, says Sean Turner. 4 times Player of the Year in the last 7 years and only 29. I keep saying he's 30, he's only 29. And yet people want to throw his gloves in the bin and say, you're a load of shit, let's give it to Dean Henderson. Bellingham shared photo of his dad that was taken outside Carrington to wish him a happy Father's Day on Instagram. Surely it has other photos of him, says Sartak Balal. Well, that's quite big. That is quite big. But I think that I would love United to sign Bellingham. I really, really would. I really, really would. And a lot of people watched him yesterday playing and were very impressed with him. I would love United to sign Bellingham. I think it's a step in the right direction. I can't lie to you about how I feel. I can't lie. And I also can't lie and say that people don't change. I have felt changed over the last 3 months. I felt, clapping on your doorstep, the community we've had on the United stand every day when there was no football. I love this football club. I want it to do well. And I'll be the first to be vocal about things that are not going well. And look, there's stuff in that club that's not going well. But now is not the time. I feel that we can get top 4. I feel that there's a momentum there. And look, we are putting our trust in Ollie and the players. And they could betray that trust like they have done before. They've got to go and win 8 games in a row, basically. Virtually win 8 games in a row. They've certainly got to win 7. When have we done that in the last 6 years? We probably haven't. There probably is no stat. But it doesn't mean that we can't do it. And it doesn't mean that those players need to be motivated to do it. A lot of fans like me and you are putting a lot of faith in those players. It's what they do with it that counts. If they fulfil that faith, they'll keep it for a long time. I said this after the Cardiff game last year. It's going to take a long time for those players to get our trust back because they've abused it so many times. They've got an opportunity over the next 8 games to earn a lot of faith and a lot of trust so that in future times when we lose a game, people will look back on this 8 games and go, you know what, they can do it. Now's their time. Now's Ollie's time. They've got my patience. They've got your patience. I think we get behind them and stop the agenda. Because I'll tell you what, I'll tell you for free. You're slating Martial, but you're not doing it to Rashford. That's an agenda. If you're slating Maguire, but you're not slating Lindelof, that's an agenda. If you're slating Luke Shaw, but you're not slating Wan-Bissaka, that's an agenda. Because there's no differential between those 2 performances and any of those players on Friday night. You're just going with a preconceived dislike, and I don't think that helps you, and I don't think it helps us, but it's all about opinion. Do Villa have a chance of getting a result today, says Paul Bolton? I bloody hope so, Paul. I really hope Villa can stop Chelsea today. I don't think it's the end of the world if they don't. I think Chelsea have got Man City on Thursday, so if we beat Sheffield United, we can get within 3 points of them again. But it would be great if Villa did do that. I don't think, as I say, I wouldn't count on it. I think Chelsea probably will win, but it would be a big boost for us. And remember, you can join me on the watch along for that at 4 o'clock. Links in the video description for That's Football. Joshua Bowwater says, I'd take Richarlison. He's one of them players with a lot of ego, shithousery, which I love. Would be good to push Rashi and Sancho. The number 11 shirt is free to think. I would be good for him, says Joshua Bowwater. I'd welcome him. I think Richarlison would be a good signing. I don't think it's going to happen. I just wonder why he's using our name. There must have been some interest. For those who've joined us a little bit late, Richarlison has said via Manchester Evening News, who reported it from a Brazilian outlet, that Barcelona and Manchester United made offers for him this season, presumably in January. Hi Mark, I'm getting stressed out. Please make us feel better. Play Marpe's won it at the end, says Fikrit. I don't even know if I've still got it, but for those who haven't seen it, I haven't even listened to it today. Marpe's won it at the end! It's good. It's good. Anyway, let's talk about some other transfer news as well that's floating around. I also want to talk about Greenwood and a potential story there that I was reading. I think it was also in the Manchester Evening News, actually, about Greenwood and maybe he can be our long-term right winger and we don't need Sancho. I don't think that's true. Smash a like on the video if you're watching. So, also talk about the sort of... I mean, look, big story last night about Sancho. If you didn't watch the video, check it out on the homepage. But alternatives being mentioned this morning. The Daily Mail is saying that United have accelerated their interest in Leon Bailey from Bayer Leverkusen. And then Italian reports are still talking about Chiesa from Italy as well, who again is a player that can potentially play on the right wing. I mean, what I would say about these two stories is I don't think there's a lot of credibility behind them. Although I would say it doesn't matter how adamant... And let me just have a sip of coffee. Sunday morning, you need a coffee. It doesn't matter how adamant you are that we're going to sign Sancho, and I'm 8 out of 10 that we will. I'm 80% sure that we will. But Manchester United would be failing as a football club if they didn't have a plan B and C. And that makes me want to throw up a bit of coffee. I don't want to think about Manchester United having an alternative to Sancho. But think of it like this. Not that Woodward or anybody else messes the deal up, but Jadon Sancho in the next month gets badly injured and he's out for a year. Well, we can't sign Sancho. So you've got to have a plan B and C. So think of a plan B and C as that, and not that we're going to ruin the Sancho deal and he's going to go to Chelsea. Because I think we will get Sancho. But let's just say Manchester United as a football club wouldn't be doing their job properly if they didn't have alternatives. Even though we don't want to discuss alternatives, they have to have them. So in the world of alternatives to Sancho, Leon Bailey at Bayer Leverkusen, well, again, I mean, he's a good player, but he doesn't always start for them. So that, and I've always liked Leon Bailey. We've mentioned him on this channel for the last few years, but I don't think he's necessarily stepped up to the plate. Maybe he's got the potential over the next year to do that. Maybe he can be the next Bundesliga Sancho at Leverkusen and move on. I definitely think he's got that talent to do that, and maybe he would be a good player to grab hold of for United to do that. So yeah, he is an option. Chiesa is more interesting because he, people see him as a right winger, but most of the season he's been playing up front. He's even played off the left wing. His production rate in relation to goals and assists isn't that good. 22 years of age. I mean, again, he's an option, but and he could fulfil that, but he's not electric dreams, stats and goals that a Sancho is. So personally, I look at it, and if we can't get Sancho, and I really think that we will, but if we can't get Sancho, there's a player I've been watching a lot of recently that I really like the look of, and it's not Adama Traore, and it's not Zaha, who I both thought played very well yesterday. It's another right winger who played very well yesterday, Ismail Sarr. I really think he has got, and I forget how old he is, but I don't think he's particularly old. I think he's got the raw talent to get better and better, and he is Premier League proven. So if I was Manchester United, it's all in for Sancho, but if for whatever reason it doesn't happen, I would quite like him. I think being Premier League rated, Premier League experience with potential, surely you'd go with that player over Leon Bailey with potential, or Chiesa with potential, who both play in different leagues. I like the look of that lad. But look, we're talking about Sancho alternatives. I don't want to talk about Sancho alternatives. I want to talk about Manchester United and getting Sancho. Buster Nut says, I have to say Arsenal losing to Brighton really brightened up my day, but Everton rejected a 120 million bid for Richarlison, so no chance for us, says Buster Nut. Look, I don't think we're signing Richarlison. I've said that. I'm just telling you that this has come out of his mouth. It's not coming out of a paper. If this was coming out of The Athletic or the Manchester Evening News, I'd say, oh, that's interesting, but I don't know how we can afford him. The fact that it's coming out of his mouth, I think, is quite interesting, but I don't see how we could afford him. And also, the big thing about Richarlison for me is I would like him to come to Manchester United, but he'd cost more than Werner, and we didn't bid for Werner. So I think the answer's there, isn't it? We're not in for him now. I'd give Pogba the armband and persuade him to stay. Bruno and Pogba have the potential to be the best midfield partnership in the world, says Connor Brooks. Or is it Tim Sherwood? I disagree with that, Connor. Why would you give a man the captaincy of Manchester United who's been inconsistent for 3 years? I think we get overexcited here. I want Paul Pogba to stay at Manchester United, and I think we know why. I mean, what more could he have done against Spurs? He came on and changed the game. He was world class. I want him to stay at the club. He's a fantastic player, and I judge him as a player in a United shirt. What his agent is and what he does off the club, I don't think he commits to the club enough. Therefore, he doesn't get the captaincy. But if he signed a new contract tomorrow, then I'd talk captaincy. But I wouldn't give him the captaincy to try and get him to sign a contract, because you could end up with an egg over your face. Richarlison is a B-Tech Rashford. No United quality, says Daniel Shabs. I don't think people have watched a lot of Richarlison. Watch him tonight at 7 o'clock and you'll see. Let's face it, dreams have always been broken with transfers. Can see us getting Willian, Longstaff and that guy from Swansea, says Mike Thomas. Don't drag the mood down till it needs to be down. It's the same as all these people with their agendas against certain players at the moment. I don't agree with it. We're not in that position at the moment. Rustiness after 3 months out is fine. It's going to be there. You know, strikers missing chances, midfielders misplacing passes, of which Fred and McTominay did a lot. Defenders, you know, not as sharp as they should be. And therefore, goalkeepers not as sharp as they should be. I mean, I've not really used that excuse for De Gea, but maybe it should be. Nobody's going to be match sharp and mistakes are going to happen. Next game's the big game. If we start seeing mistakes again, then there's going to be problems. But I'll tell you what, confidence is key. If you want Manchester United to be successful, why are you slating De Gea? Why are you slating Maguire? Why are you slating Fred? Why are you slating Martial? If you want Manchester United to be successful, get behind the bloody club. Spread some positivity. Because I tell you, £1 to $1 of shit, Manchester United players are watching social media. They are, 100%. If you were a professional footballer, you're sat at home, what are you going to do? There's only so much FIFA you're going to play. You're in an entertainment business, you will naturally be drawn in to read stuff about you. And when they're on social media reading he's shit from United fans, subconsciously it has an impact. Get the positivity flowing. Do you want to be like Arsenal? Do you want to be Zayn? Or do you want to be fighting for Champions League football with positivity? We need to get that positivity behind the club. If they fail with that positivity, it's on them. But I haven't seen any failure yet. A draw against Spurs was what I predicted. We should have won it. So let's move on and win the rest. Should we sign Nathan Ake as centre-back from Bournemouth if they go down? Says Soham Bender. I mean, I would actually consider him. I think he's got a bit of pace, which I think is so important. Sarr only turned 22 in February. My only worry with him is that he could end up like Dan James, struggling against a low block. I think he's got a lot more technical ability than Dan James, because I watched the game yesterday and I saw him. I've seen him about 3 or 4. I haven't seen him enough, to be honest, but I think he's a contender. But he is a player that, you know, in tight spaces, he's got some intricacy and he looks to play forward all the time. Whereas I think Dan James gets a little bit panicked. He needs to work on that. Daniel Shabar, welcome to the club, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Remember, if you are watching any of the watch-alongs today, Villa, Chelsea or Everton, Liverpool, links in the video description. I'll be doing 2 watch-alongs today on That's Football. So if you like the United Stand watch-along and you want to watch a game with a watch-along with the community, make sure you subscribe. Link is in the video description and get over there at 4 o'clock today. Up the Villa, UTV. Quickly, Greenwood as a right-wing option so that we don't need to sign Sancho. I've heard a few people talking about this and I saw an article in the Manchester Evening News about it. No, and no. We don't not sign Sancho to give Greenwood the right wing spot. That is basically spreading our front line thin when it's already thin. No. Greenwood is a player that can play up front, he can play off the left and he can play up the right, and he's a development player. He is not the answer to the right wing. Manchester United need a specialist right winger and Jadon Sancho is available. If you want to win things, you sign Jadon Sancho. You don't go, oh, Gaffer, we don't need to sign anyone now because Greeny can play on the right wing. No. That's not Manchester United. We've got Mason Greenwood. He's going to be a superstar, but he's also a teenager that we need to nurture in different positions so he becomes the all-encompassing world-class player he can be. We don't put him on the right wing and say be our right winger for the next 5 years, because you totally and utterly mess up his development, overplay him, and don't let him develop in a freer way into what I think will be one of the world's best number 9s. So Sancho comes in on the right wing. Martial plays up front, Rashford plays on the left. Then you've got Dan James, Greenwood and Agallo for half the season as the backup. That's only 6 players. So if you don't sign Sancho and you go Greenwood, Martial, Rashford, oh, we need a sub because someone's injured. Dan James back on the right wing then. Agallo up front. Who's Rashford's backup? Chong. We need some depth up front, and that is why very important that we get Sancho and we use Greenwood as we have been using him. And I would start Greenwood against Sheffield United. I think we desperately need a right winger, but it shouldn't be Greenwood long term because he's so much more than a right winger. He's so much more, and we need Sancho. Lingard's our right wing backup, says Van de Kande. Exactly, we need Sancho. Dan James out, says Simply Belling. Well, I've purposely not mentioned Dan James today, but I think Dan James goes into the same story I was talking about a few minutes ago. Why are we going in on Dan James? I don't get I've seen this more and more with United over the years, and I've said it a few times. We're becoming like Arsenal. And maybe that's why Zayn gravitates towards our channel, because some of us are becoming a little bit like Arsenal. Like, short memories. All I can say is this. I respect everybody's opinion, and I don't agree with it, but I respect everybody's opinion if it's thought out. But Dan James out. Dan James is shit. Dan James is this, right? He played, what? 70 minutes after 3 months out and didn't play well, and we're throwing him on the scrap heap. When I say that back, do you realise how stupid that sounds? He hasn't played for 3 months. He had a bad 70 minutes in a game that didn't suit him, and he's crap. Yet before the lockdown, he played superbly well against one of the world's best sides, Man City. Man City could be the Champions League winners this year. And Dan James was one of the best players on the pitch against them just before lockdown. He comes back after lockdown, has a bad 70 minutes, and everyone is saying get shit. Get rid of him, he's shit. Do you not understand there? Brilliant, not so good. 3-month gap. At the very least, you should be saying, let's give him time. There's potential there. And that's exactly what I'm saying. He needs to work on his football intelligence. And I was saying that before Friday. There's a few times I've highlighted this season where he gets the ball, Bruno's on the edge of the box, Luke Shaw's doing the overlap, and he passes to Shaw. That's football intelligence, because Luke Shaw's crossing hasn't been the best this season, and Bruno's one of the best creators in the world. You always give the ball to Bruno, and that's football intelligence. He just needs to learn that. But I still think it's his breakthrough season, and next season's going to be the big one for him. I don't think anybody's on the scrap heap, and I think we need to get behind our players and boost the confidence of our players. That's what I think. I'm not saying that I'll stay like that forever. What they do with that boost and confidence is down to them, and if they abuse it and they play badly for a long period of time, then I would say, well, look, these players aren't good enough. But I just don't see. I feel like this is a fresh start. I feel like lockdown will have made many people reevaluate themselves, including the players. And Friday night was just a game to get through, and it was a very difficult game that we didn't need to lose, and we didn't. Now we've got to take that and turn it into another positive. It's very much like, I feel like it's going to be so hot in the UK on Wednesday. It's going to be 29 degrees. Very, very hot. This is like, we should be playing Euros football at the moment. We're playing Premier League football every day. It's got a feel of a summer tournament to it. And obviously it's not a summer tournament, but it is a very short Premier League season to complete 9 games. I feel like all those times I supported England in major tournaments, and you build it up and you're really excited. And the first game, I remember Euro 96, the first game you draw 1-1 with Switzerland, and you're like, I don't know why I bothered buying the England shirt. I don't know why I bothered thinking we're going to win it. They're a bloody waste of time, a load of crap. And that enthusiasm gets blunted. And I feel that, like, for some people, that enthusiasm we had over lockdown because we hadn't had football, a few people thought we were going to smash Spurs, and it's been blunted because we didn't. But we could have done. And we were very rusty. I feel we're going to see now over the next few games a real progression of United where we start to win, we start to win, we start to win. And you look at the next few games, Sheffield United is a must-win game. Not a draw. When you're playing catch-up, not a draw. We must win on Wednesday. If we don't win on Wednesday, then I think there's going to be a lot of questions asked. But I think we will win on Wednesday. Norwich in the Cup, couldn't give a shit, but we probably will win. Brighton, the game after that, you got to win. So we've got lots of winnable games now. Let's go and win them before we start being critical. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. We've got Ricky, Saeed, Adam on at 8 o'clock tonight. They'll be giving their thoughts. Ricky's writing a book about what he wants to talk about, and I think it's entitled Matic. But we'll be back at 8 o'clock tonight. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video, and also make sure you click the link in the video description and subscribe to That's Football. We've got 2 watch-alongs coming up for you. The big one is 4 o'clock. Chelsea against Aston Villa, up the Villa. Same sort of watch-along format as you get on this channel, just on That's Football. Give it a subscribe, and I'll see you at 4 o'clock, and then 8 o'clock on this channel. Thanks for watching. See you in a bit. Oh, more pace, won it at the end!